G'day friends, welcome to today's YouTube video. My name is James, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. Today I'm doing the 100-day project, day 76 to 82, and I don't have a lot to say about it really. I mean, let's be real, it's June. Happy Pride Month. The challenge is over, finished on June 1st. So I'm happy, I did it. For no reason other than I completed it. I didn't really seek out to do anything specific except the stamp and illustration process that you'll see happen a million times in this video. I didn't even commit to it. Like you remember from the first video I put in this series, I was just like, I'm gonna do it. I have extra time to, expend some creative energy. I think it might be nice to have a project to work on. All of those things are true. I don't really have anything else to say. I might do a bit of a wrap up at the last video because I have this video, I have another one that's just the day 83 isolated as its own video, so you can watch that and kind of dive into the process a little bit. I think I'll put that up in a few days so you can have an extra special video for next week. Sorry if you can hear the construction in the background. The neighbors moved out, they're changing all the floors, it's a whole mess. But yeah, I'm proud that I did it. It's weird, I actually don't feel a lot of pride because it's not like I set out and was like, I'm going to finish 100 days, it's gonna be crazy. I did think like I'm probably gonna fall off a couple of weeks in because if it was a 30 or 31 day challenge, that's exactly what happens. The ebb and flow seemed to undulate a lot wider for this 100-day project. It didn't seem like every 2 weeks was a problem. It seemed like, 5 weeks in, I was like, oh, okay, maybe there's a lot to do here. And then I would get back on top of it and then I'd get a little bit behind. But it was fine. I never really set out to do it daily. It was just more like I wanted 100 pieces at the end of it. And it gave me a really good idea for what I want to do with my stamp sets. I've got an Etsy store linked in the description below, shameless plug. I do have stamp sets available there. Not everything is available, but I'm currently switching manufacturers. It's funny because it's the same guy that I worked with before, but he's doing his own business now. So it should be exactly the same, but I haven't actually made a first order with him yet. And I was going to design a new stamp set based off of whatever I felt like was kind of missing from this experience. And so I have that, but then also I got a really good reception from those corner pieces the other day. And then it got me thinking, well, if I brought those back, just those corner pieces, just for like a really limited like re-release, I should bring back the Unbothered stamp set because that's the one I get asked about the most. And so I was like, maybe I'll just bring back a really limited release of that too. So I have to know what his minimum order quantities are for those because I don't want to be buying 100 of them, but maybe if I can get some of those restocked just for some old time's sake, that would be great. And I want to make a new corner pieces fairies and a corner pieces mermaids, like two separate sets with maybe a little bit more detail than the original, the Barbie doll ones in the swimsuit with the ponytail. I think I want to make them a little bit more detailed than that, but about the same size. So they're tiny little corner piece things you can just stamp on and have a great time. A mermaid set and a fairy set. So that's kind of my plan. That's what I want to be doing. I am right in the middle of my Daisy style workshop, which has come together really lovely, I have to say. So I'm just finishing all of that up and hopefully that will be ready, I want to say next week. So keep your eye out for that. It is a style workshop that it's designed to break down because I work with a ton of different styles in illustration, just things that I've developed, a passion for over the years, certain ways that I like to draw, and they look different from each other, but really there's an element that kind of ties them all together with the process and how I go about it. And there's the core understanding of specifically like facial features that I have, and then there's the derivatives that I make from that. And so I step you through that process with 5 different styles. And I think in this one we have the classic kind of front-on symmetrical face. That's just like the head and shoulders and the face. It's kind of like one of those Barbie style heads. And then the swatch doll style, the bebe style, the 3/4 fashion face, and the retro kawaii style. So they're all a bit different. And I actually have more than that because I felt like this would be something I could do a second part to, like a part 2. But I just wanted to start with 5 for the first one. But yeah, so I wanted to create that, and I started it last year, and for some reason in my head, I was like, oh, I barely started it. And I had so many other things I was working on that I just kind of put it on the back burner. And then I went to go and check like a few weeks ago, like how far did I get through that? Because I have to pick it back up. It was good. I put all that prep work into it. I know I want to do it. I'm going to do that for my next workshop. And I had done so much. Like, I don't know where I got into my head that I hadn't done anything. So it was practically all finished. And so I just had to do a lot of the tweaking and a lot of the editing and, some of the filming for just to wrap it all up. So it's practically finished. And I'm really excited about that. I would suggest that, because I like to be realistic, like not every workshop is for everybody, especially these work at your own pace ones. It's not like the live virtual voyage workshops where we have all of that experience. These are more educational, they're more informative, but they can also be very specific. Like, first and foremost, like if you haven't really seen me do it, it's not going to be in there. So I always say, like, if you haven't seen me draw all these hands, you're suddenly not going to find hands in the workshop. Like, I don't save any of that information for like secret behind a paywall. It's everything that you already see, but then I dive into very specifically learning it and breaking it down into the most simple forms of everything. So for this one, I think it would be great for people who have participated in those Daisy challenges before, like the Daisy Ween, the Inktober Daisy things that we've done. I mean, she's been a character around for years now, and she was always a character that I described as a style chameleon. Like, you were supposed to reinterpret these Daisy, motifs into whatever your version was. So we've kind of always been playing derivatives with Daisy, and so I feel like this style workshop made a lot of sense to pick her so that we could, do exactly the same thing, and I could step you through the specifics of the styles that you see most frequently from me. So that's what I kind of started with. The ones that seem the most current or the most frequent, I wanted to touch on those very specifically, like the classic one, the three-quarter fashion face, and those swatch doll ones. Like, those are pretty standard for a lot of the work that I do. So if you've ever wanted to get a deeper look at that process and how they all developed, like kind of the play that I had, the experimenting that I did, and the way that I change, from this image to the next image to the next image, like the process of developing the style, that would be something I'd recommend to you, this workshop. Or if you were just looking to get a better, like, basic understanding of how I put the faces together and like how they end up looking the way that they look, or the small tricks that you can use to make the face 3/4. We've essentially touched on almost everything, but they're all in different workshops. Like the Virtual Voyage 4 workshop, we looked a lot at style by looking at other artists. And so that was a lot about style development and how we did that. But then also, Virtual Voyage 3 with the Red Curtain Cruise, we did a lot of the feminine fashion faces. So we kind of touched on a lot of those simple understandings there too. So there is some overlap if you've done a lot of the Virtual Voyage workshops before, but this, I think, was always my idea for like a standalone, like, if you start from start to finish, you will have a ton of sketches and a ton of notes that will give you a lot of information very specifically about the styles that I like to play with and how I like to play with them. So that's what I wanted to do. It'll be there for you if you want it. If not, that's completely fine as well. We have Virtual Voyage 8 coming up, which is Burtonville 2. Working title, might change it. But I do want to do it. I do want to do essentially the sequel to the Burtonville workshop we did back in 2020. That was the second Virtual Voyage we did, and it was 2 weeks. I'm still figuring out all the logistics of this one. I'm thinking towards like start of August, rather than hitting the Halloween period right up in October. I'm thinking of pushing it forward so that we get a jump on the start of it, and especially because what I have noticed is that people are very active in the weeks that we do Virtual Voyage, but then are also pretty active for about a month afterwards. And a lot of people that join, especially later, tend to extend into a few weeks afterwards as well. So I feel like if I push it forward, then when you're still doing self-study it's study. When you're still going through the course for a couple of weeks afterwards, you'll be hitting into that Halloween period, but not so close that you're too busy to get anything done. Because right towards the end of Halloween leading into Christmas, I find is a period where like no one is available to do anything. So that is my idea for that. I know it kind of pushes into like end of summer vibes, but honestly, I mean, it is what it is. Like, it's more focused on Tim Burton, not Halloween. I just like to put him towards Halloween because the subject matter crosses over. So, that's kind of what I'm thinking there. So I'll have a look at what I want to do for that. And those are just some things that I'm planning. The Dancing, how's dancing going? Thank you so much for asking. It's going well. I'm auditioning for a lot of things right now. It seems like it started, when it rains, it pours. I have a self-tape that I need to submit for, which I have to learn the choreography from a video and then like film it and then send it back, which is so funny because I've never really done a self-tape before. I've helped people make them, but I don't think I've ever really done one. I did a tap for a Disney Cruise Line. They asked if I could tap, and so they asked me to submit a self-tape for tapping. And I didn't have any tap shoes with me, so I used Steve's, which is a size too small, and I went to the top of a rooftop car park of the apartment complex that we lived in at the time, and I just did it up on the up on the rooftop, and I submitted it, and I got the job. So I mean, I have done a self tape before. I know it doesn't have to be the end of the world as far as production value goes, but yeah, some people like if you don't have a place to film it, like where are you supposed to do it? Like I can't film it in here, so I got to go and maybe do it at Steve's studio or maybe at the gym. I don't know, but I got to play the music out loud. So probably at Steve's studio. I'll try. Maybe at night because I don't want to be jumping for the poor the poor officers underneath. But yeah, that'll be fun. I'll submit that. They also want acrobatics, which I'm on the fence as to whether I'll submit that part or not. I could go to the park, but I don't know if I'm ready to have a sore back yet. It's been a while since I've backflipped off of a trampoline, but I could give it a go. The other audition I have to submit for, I need to take new photos for because I've lost weight since the last photos I've had, and I just want it to be very accurate. I put all that time and effort and energy into trimming down a little bit. I want to photograph every single ounce off from last time. So I'll do that next week maybe because Steve has a photo shoot. I think I'm just going to snatch some of his time before or after and get those updated. The only benefit of being married to a photographer, I might add. Everything else seems like it's extra work for me. He's lucky I enjoy half of it. But last night I was helping him edit. Oh, I downloaded the new Photoshop with the AI. I was like, oh, Steve, I'm going to help you edit, but I'm going to do it with AI because, I mean, obviously it'll do a better job than I did. I will say, once I got the hang of it, it did do some pretty great things. Like, I could remove a lot of stains very easily. And it's funny, what it was, like, it was a photo where the model had body oil on, and she was leaning on essentially paper, like it's a paper backdrop, and so there were oil stains. But I was like, how do I remove this? Because the AI relies on you to put in the generative, portion. You have to give it a prompt. Like you have to say, remove this. But if I say remove oil stains, okay, I'll give you an example. I said, first of all, I selected a whole area of the hair and I said, clean up flyaway hairs. And I thought that's pretty standard. It's going to know. But then I think it's a computer. Like, does it even really know what a flyaway hair is? Like, where is it getting its information from? It's all in testing. It's all beta. So it shouldn't really know. Like, this is the whole point, right? People are using it to figure out what they need to work on. But it was so funny because the first three options it gave me, it put cleaning products into the backdrop. Like it put a scrubbing brush, like a toilet scrubbing brush, and then it was a toothbrush. And so it thought like clean up, like using something to clean the hair. So I was like, well, what do I say? Like, how do I speak the language of computer text? Like, so I was just coming up with all these different ways to ask it to do the same thing, or I would select a smaller area. So like maybe if I only select this part of the hair, it will understand what I'm talking about. So there was a really fiddly learning curve. Eventually I did get it to remove flyaway hairs, and I got it to remove stains. So, because I didn't know what to put with the oil, I was like, remove oil marks from paper backdrop, and it just didn't even know what it was doing. It actually put a whole bunch of extra paper on top of it. I did this other one where I was like, I'm just going to see how far I can push it. And I took a photo of my mum and my sister with at Southwest Rocks, and they were on the rocks at the beach, and I was like, put the sunset in, and it fully changed the heads on my mum and my sister, but it put a beautiful sunset in, but then they became these really abstract, weird heads. And then I said, put a pirate ship in the background. It was a clip art pirate ship. So it was completely flat, two-dimensional. I was like, put a bush in the front. It was pretty good at putting the bush in the front. It was wild. I asked her to put a mermaid tail on my mum, but it extended both of her legs. But it wasn't her legs. They put like really thin, long legs on, and then put flippers. But then the flippers went down and then merged into a mermaid tail. It was the weirdest thing. Like, the AI has no idea sometimes. A lot of what I was doing is also extending the backgrounds, and if it got even too close to like a hand or something, or like there was an arm like this, when it would extend the background, it would actually put the rest of the arm on. But it was so weird. It was get like an actual really good, rest of the arm, but then the hands were on like all the fingers were crazy bent backwards, and there was like 3 extra fingers here. It does not know hands, like hands down. Does not know hands, which I kind of knew about the AI. I mean, it's wild. So anyway, that's what I was using it for. I was trying to help Steve do some photo editing, which ended up working out well. The photos looked great in the end, but it was like half useful for things. It was very useful for the flyaways. The rest, it was like, I don't think it's gonna be replacing that workflow anytime soon. But all of that to say, I definitely earn my free photo shoots free with Steve. I work for pay for Steve. Work for trade. That's what it is. So anyway, that is what I'm going to do. And then I have a Knott's Berry Farm audition for their Halloween musical, whatever that is. I think it's new, which I'm very excited for because I really enjoyed my Knott's Berry Farm audition last December. And I don't live too far away from Knott's Berry Farm. I live closer to Disneyland. Sorry, I'm so distracted by tying a knot with this paper. I live closer to Disneyland, but Knott's Berry Farm has a really good like entertainment lineup, and especially for dancers, they have a pretty good like the dancing is like really great, kind of really intense, and they pay really well as well. So interesting. Who knows what will eventuate from there? I haven't heard about any other opportunity I've submitted for yet, so it has been a few months of no performing, but I have been going to dance classes. I've been training. I've been going to Zumba. Last month, I think I had my first record amount of health effort stars. I think I got up to 23, maybe. I don't know, but I don't think I've ever gone that high before. I was really active last month, so that was nice. And I'm feeling like I want to beat it this month, but who really knows? I don't want to get too competitive, but that also was kind of the point of the stars, is because I knew I get really competitive with it, so it would encourage me to do it. So I should lean into that. I should actually be motivated by that. Excuse me, I'm gonna have some water. Gotta calm down. I get too excited when I tell you everything. We had our meetup. Last week. I don't think I told you about that. That was great. It was lovely. It was almost exactly the same group as we had last year, which I don't know why I was surprised by, but it was nice. It felt really familiar, and it was a nice way to catch up. I actually did some journaling this time, so I set out to achieve that goal, and I did that. I was very proud of myself. And yeah, I'm not going to vow to do another one anytime soon, because what I'm like when I commit to things, but I really do have to make sure that it's not a whole year before we do it again. I would like to do it more towards like the holiday season, maybe, because then we could do something holiday, but yeah, it was lovely. So thank you all for coming to that. And what else? Dancing, meetup, workshops, stamps, journals. Do I have anything to say about journals? Not really. I got a new printer. Told you my printer decided to off itself. The rolling feed tray of the bottom tray didn't work, but I got my new one. I got that one for $100 on eBay. Amazing. Works wonderfully. I swear it's hardly been used, although it did. It's like, when you get something from someone's home and you can smell their home on it, that was just not working for me. So I did give it a quick clean, because I was like, I don't know who had this before, but like it was just not vibing with my smells in here. So I had to clean that a little bit, and I'm sure it'll smell like 2 cats in about 3 days. The print quality works great. And that's why I feel like it hasn't been used very much, because I could tell that printer that I was using, which I'm pointing over there because it's on the floor, I don't know what to do with it, because half of it still works. But I think I might put it in the studio. Maybe Steve might want it to print small photos. I have no idea. But the print quality of that one was starting to go. I could really tell. And like, even if I did the cleaning and everything, it had run through, like, printers have that life cycle, right? I think you can get so many thousands of pages printed. And I would not even kid you if I said that I think I've printed like 50,000 pages on that. Like, I don't know what the life cycle is supposed to be. I'm sure I could have gone for longer, but not even just pages, like full graphics, full photo quality graphics. Because most of the time I'm printing photos or like Collage Club stuff, or like it's just all non-stop. And I use that printer 50 times a week. such an exaggerator. I use it a lot. Not 50. Maybe I should count. But yeah, my printers are workhorses, and that's why I've always committed to that Canon MX922 because it is very affordable to refill, which is super important. I don't know how people are owning printers that cost hundreds of dollars to refill. I would just never print anything. Like, would totally defeat the purpose of having my own printer. Because you do calculate the cost. Like the sticker paper that I use, it calculates to be, whatever cents it is per sheet. And then you calculate when you cost ink, like it'll get you through, a certain hundreds of sheets. So like every time I print something, I'm aware that it costs money, but it is still so much cheaper than getting it printed anywhere else. So, I take that cost, but yeah, some people are spending hundreds of dollars on ink. That ink industry, I have heard, is a big old scam. So people will sell like really cheap printers, but the ink will be really expensive, or the ink cartridges that come all in one, so you can't buy the individual ink, you have to replace the whole ink cartridge, even if only the pink has run out, the magenta, like you have to replace the whole thing. The other ones where like some of the technology gets really good where if it's just an off-label cartridge, it won't read in the printer. Sometimes I feel like that one does it. Like I've had some ink brands in the past, like one or two, where it would read the chip as like a non-Canon ink, and it would give me an error. But I found a way around it, so it's fine. But yeah, so it's super cheap to refill. Like I can get a whole bunch of inks for $20 off Amazon, and people are also I think I'll get a little confused with printers. Most of what you're printing with is a dye-based ink, unless it very specifically says it's a pigment-based ink, which would be that archival quality, and people associate that with like more fine art prints that you would get from like a photo developer, which, yes, like those prints would last a long, long time, and you could even put them out in the sunlight and they wouldn't necessarily fade straight away. But I don't think anything out in harsh sunlight really lasts for forever. And most people, especially in journaling, aren't putting anything out in direct sunlight. So if you're printing with a dye-based ink on a printer, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it may fade like over hundreds of years, but they're all pretty good now. Like this, I think a lot of the information we get about like the quality of the certain inks and the tests that were done on them come from the 90s or the early 2000s. It's 2023 now. Like they've really figured out a way to make these high yield, really intense, good quality inks for really cheap. So unless you're using a pigment based ink, because those are really expensive, and those are only for specific printers that do that fine art quality. You can still get very good quality prints that look just the same as the fine art, pigment ink archival quality prints. They're just not guaranteed to last you for so many years. But also that depends on the paper. It depends on if you put it behind UV glass. So if you have that UV protection, sometimes those prints are coated as well. So there's a UV coating over the top so that that helps. But I don't know anyone who's doing art journaling that really cares about, archival quality prints. That's mostly for display. Like if you're going to display artwork around your house. I don't know why we get onto this, but I think mostly because I'm saying is like people also assume that like if it's a Canon branded ink, that it is much higher quality than another one. There may be a difference in quality, but a lot of the time there's not. Like it can be the same ink that an off-label brand uses. It's like medicines, right? You can use the name brand one, or you can get another one that's non-branded for like 1/8 the price. That is kind of the same for inks, because my stepdad's brother did printer inks, and so he was saying like, oh no, it really doesn't matter. And they would like refill, and they were like a secondary seller, which maybe he just said because he felt like people would buy it that way. I don't know, maybe I've been bamboozled, but I have personally used these cheap inks for years, and they are such great quality. I would never have an issue with it. I've always found the issue is with the paper or the print settings. So if I was accidentally not printing on photo quality, and I hadn't done the best quality print settings I could use, there'd be a slight difference. But like paper makes a huge difference as well. You would think there's not a huge difference between like one version of matte sticker paper and another version of matte sticker paper. There can be such a difference. I need to go and find this Chiltern Wove matte photo sticker paper, because it is the best matte photo sticker paper I've ever seen in my whole life. It's got like such a soft, it was almost velvety, powdery touch to it. So I used to not really enjoy the touch of it, but the quality, like you could print so fine details on them. And I think it has everything to do with the fact that if you like really zoomed in on the texture of paper, you would see the bumps and the texture of it. Because even a smooth paper has like, you know, little bumps in it. I think whatever they did to it, like those bumps are so small and so fine that the ink just sits perfectly in its arrangement and it looks so good. I'm such a big fan of that paper, but they don't have it readily available anymore, not for Americans anyway. In America, I'm Australian, but I live in America. So, and it was a British, I think it's a UK brand, Chiltern Wove, Chilternwove. I found a wholesale account that sells it, but I don't need to be buying it in wholesale. And also, I didn't want to sign up for a site because it was, I think it was Spanish. Wow, I've got a lot to say apparently about printers, but I did get a new printer, so it's great. It's here, it works. What else have I got going on? Not much. Collage Club is out, so that's great. Next month will be, because I've already done all of the 100-day project, next month will be the last month of those 2 sheets of Collage Club where I do the 100-day project. So if you join Collage Club next month, you will access all 100 days of of the 100-day project illustrations. So that's something to note if you're looking for that. And once those are rotated out, they go to Etsy as well. And I'm planning on doing a separate like individual pack for the 8 sheets of the 100-day project just for Etsy, just as a separate thing. Because I was thinking on Etsy, like I do have all the months available individually, but like maybe over time as I gather you know, tons of these sets, that it might be good to do like a Christmas collection. So I put all the Christmas ones together, or like a Halloween one, put all the Halloween ones together, just to make it a little easier for people who are looking for something specific but want maybe like a bundle of it rather than just individual months. Things to think about. Those are really not things I'm going to be working on anytime soon, so don't worry about that. I'm wondering for Virtual Voyage 8, I mean, we're talking about workshops too, right? So Burtonville 2, I think there will be some crossover with the first one in the sense that like I won't, if I've done The Nightmare Before Christmas, it's not like I'm not going to do that again. Like I think I will kind of bring some of those themes back, but I do want to add in the Wednesday Addams series from that Tim Burton worked on and directed, and I think I want to bring in like just some of the other things that I hadn't really done either, like Batman, well, very specifically Catwoman. Catwoman in Gotham City, that would be fun. I think I want to do, there's a part of me that wants to try and put Sweeney Todd in there, but like the subject matter just can be so crazy. I really love Frankenweenie, so I feel like I should bring that in as well. We touched on that in the beginning, in the first workshop, because we did that whole animals thing for the portraits. Yeah, there's just a ton. There's a ton that I want to do. I think it will be great, whatever we end up doing, because Tim Burton is so much fun to kind of dive into. I haven't really set like a specific intention for this one. The last one, I think I wanted to capture, I really forget, but I think I just wanted to capture the essence of play that Tim Burton had, and I wanted to really like explore a lot of that. And I think that's kind of what I want to do again, because it's so playful. Every time I look through that Art of Tim Burton book, it's right there. Is it there? No, that's the Hunger Games book. Where is it? It's back there somewhere. It's close. I always keep it close. Every time I look through that, I just get taken with something else that is just so playful and so like, you know, there's a lot of skill involved in it as well. It's not super simple in the sense that like, oh, anyone could just draw that, even though I think anyone can. There are things to break down that I find so fascinating. We just did it for Playtest Patreon 3 as well. Earlier this year, we did those 3 months of Patreon. And I think the first book that we did, the Coffee Table Art Book Playtime, I think that was Tim Burton as well. So we looked at some of that, and that was really fun. That is also available on Patreon, Teachable as well. If you want that bundle, that will be available. It is available now, actually. So that's there. I think I might do an offer as well for, I've been thinking about this, for the workshop, the Daisy style workshop. I don't know if I'm going to do an offer as like a bundle or like a coupon like I usually do. I'm not quite sure, but I do want to mix it in with an offer. I was going to wait until my birthday to do it because I usually like to do something extra around my birthday, but because I don't want to delay releasing the workshop until the end of July, I think I might just bring whatever that typical like birthday offer is like into next week. fingers crossed, if I can do it, upload it next week. I really want to put it out next week because it's just almost done and I need to have a date. Otherwise, I'll do what I did last year and then 3 months will go by and I'll be like, no, I'll just work on it next week. I'll just work on it next week. I'm so tragic. Anyway. Family's good. I was talking to my sister yesterday for a long time. Baby's great. She's fully cross-eyed, which I'm obsessed with. I love cross-eyed cats and I love cross-eyed babies. Savannah is really going nuts, bossing everybody around, which is fantastic. Siobhan was kind of like that too, so I'm not super surprised. And Lou is going well. I think my mum just messaged me before. I haven't read it, but I saw it just pop up with, like, that my brother had bought a new house, so that just came out of nowhere. So I'll have to go and read up what's going on with him. We have, I think we're going to a wedding for Steve's side of the family in a couple of weeks. I'm really not quite sure, but if I need to figure that out because I need to go and get some formal pants. It's just a nice thing about losing weight is that losing weight and you're feeling healthier and happier. But goodness, I'm so sick of growing out of the clothes that I have. Or like, not really. I mean, there's clothes I don't really care about. I don't care if I grow out of them. But there are those random things that just cost money that you will never wear again. Like I never wear formal pants. There's no reason. I never wear pants in general. Like I wear shorts. Don't get me wrong, I'm not running around here nude, but I just wear shorts. I don't care about pants. So to go and buy a whole set of pants, I'll go to Target, maybe they'll have some cheap, but ugh, I'll never wear them again. That was like when I did the few days of onboarding last year at Disneyland. I had to go and buy a collared shirt because I was like, I have a lot of collared shirts, but they're either all short sleeved or they're just fun, like they're not business casual collared shirts. So I had to go and buy that, and it just still sits in that cupboard. I will never wear it again. Closet, I shouldn't say cupboard. I get cupboard and closet and drawer and everything. Steve tells me I get them confused. To me, everything's a cupboard. That's a cupboard. Like anything with a door that things are behind, that's a cupboard. Anyway, I'm just rambling now. I best leave you so we can get this done. I'll upload this. I'll put the day 83 on maybe for like Monday or Tuesday or something. So keep on the lookout for that. You'll have an extra video to watch. And yeah, I'll be sharing the rest of the 100-day project with you until the end of those videos. I'm not quite sure how many more there are to go, but I have finished it. Congratulations to everybody else who has finished it, or wherever you are on your journey to 100-day projects, or if you've never done one, congratulations to you as well. Just a big congrats to everybody. Happy June, everyone. Happy Pride Month. Have a great time. I will speak to you again soon. Until then, bye.